Folks, I might have been muted, but we are not going to be muted today. Sunday, March 5th, we are technically on the road to WrestleMania, but we are taking a pit stop for a revolution in all elite wrestling. It's AEW Revolution 2023. We've got a lot of matches on tap, obviously headlined by the AEW Championship. Bryan Danielson versus Maxwell Jacob Friedman, 60-minute Iron Man match. We got AEW trios matches. We got women's title online. We've got a little bit of everything at Revolution Night. So let's get our panel in, because you know it's not the show where you wrestle with your budget. It's not the show where you wrestle with your thoughts or your conscience. It is the show Wrestling with Emotion. Mike Partham, Mike Straw making his debut. Ernie Green, Slick L back in it. Gents, how are we feeling on this Sunday heading into Revolution?
I think Ernie put it pretty best. Why don't you go ahead and say it, Ernie?
I'm feeling pretty UC right now. I don't know what that even means, but that's how I feel.
Let's go. I feel
Hey, I like it, boys. And I may have booked this a little bit like Tony Khan. Maybe should have got a little bit bigger deal, but Mike Straw making his first appearance on Wrestling with Emotion in over, 15, 18 months here?
Something like that, and I'm happy. You know, finally I'm awake for it. That's my biggest thing. My wife usually lets me sleep in on the weekend. She's a saint.
We got people asking questions already. We'll get to those right in a minute. If you have any questions, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, make sure you're firing away. But let's get into it, gents. Let's start with Ernie and work our way around the horn back to me. Favorite wrestling storyline right now across the companies?
Well, you know what? I mean, everyone's going to say Bloodline, and I'm not going to say that. I'll go AEW. My favorite AEW storyline right now is the women's division, actually, with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. It's actually, for once, long-term storytelling stuff I've criticized them for not having, and I think they finally have gotten something with the storyline. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes from here.
Yeah, there's a couple in WWE, I'd say, but I'm gonna stick with Ernie for AEW side. I have actually loved since the beginning the Jungle Boy Christian storyline, and I'll get more into that when we get to that match, because there's a lot of things I could say about Christian right now. But Jack Perry is finally starting to come into his own, and I've really loved this transition from him.
Well, let's see. Between AEW and WWE, I have a favorite storyline that's actually not the Bloodline. And when you have to think about epic collisions and long-term storytelling and great talents, there's only two that you have to think of right now going into WrestleMania. And that is the big meaty men slapping meat, Lesnar versus Oh my God. I couldn't get through it. I'm sorry. Oh my God. It's my favorite thing for all the wrong reasons, because it's so hilariously bad. But you know what? We'll
get a big men's.
We'll get into that after the rest of you guys give you your rest of the favorite storylines.
Mine is Maximum Male Models and OT.
It would be.
I'm just kidding. Straw took the words out of my mouth, actually. Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and Christian, went away for a while. It wasn't there. They were trying to fill in some time with Jungle Boy and Hook, which I wasn't really too big a fan of. But, now that it's right back where it seemed to be at its peak, it's like it never left. And I can't wait for this final burial match. I think these two have great chemistry, and this rivalry coming to an end should be to behold.
Seriously, no shortage of storylines to love. But hey, one storyline that we've all been tracking, whether it's, it has been the presence and the role, I guess the role that Vince McMahon is currently playing with WWE. Is he in creative? How much input is he having on the sale that's going on right now? Obviously, things like that. I know we had some thoughts on this panel, so feel free to fire away on those. I mean, what are our thoughts on Vince? What are our thoughts on WWE moving forward past this WrestleMania?
I'm enjoying what we have now before it all comes crumbling down. I have not been invested in WWE as much as I have been the past 5 months in a good decade or so. As far as there's a lot of must-watch stuff for me. I'm going to enjoy it before it crumbles down, because it's only a matter of time before that ego takes over.
I agree with Straw there. And let me just ask this, going back to Lesnar versus Omos. Even before the WrestleVotes report, which basically implied that Vince had a very heavy hand in influencing that match happening. And by the way, this is the fifth or sixth option after all the other guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin through Gunther were proposed to Lesnar. And remember, Lesnar is a Vince McMahon guy because he walked out after Vince retired, and Vince basically had to talk him back into the building. So he's very loyal to Vince as it is. Is there anybody that didn't think that Vince had some influence on this match even before the WrestleVotes report came out?
No, this match reeks of it, man. It's that big spot WrestleMania match. It's, it's Big Show versus Floyd Mayweather almost. It's like,
Where was Omos
ridiculous.
on TV before this? He ever since Triple H has been taken over, he's basically been a ghost.
He's too big to be a ghost.
And notice how in the promo segment for Lesnar to accept the match, Omos was nowhere to be found for his own match.
You mean because Omos is on the level of Roman Reigns, where he doesn't even need to be there, apparently.
Well, he's such a big star that he gets to do a part-time schedule now.
Yeah, he's such a big star, the biggest.
Do you guys remember when?
Acknowledge Omos, the greatest thing to come from Raw Underground.
There are definitely fingerprints of Vince starting to show, and it's unfortunate because, like some have said, this is great content. What we're
I think it goes. I think it even goes back to how Charlotte got the title hot shot on her the very night she came back. She didn't have any money in the bank, or she didn't have any matches under her belt after like a year and a half of being away. She just gets the title right as soon as she gets back.
Never forget that Charlotte literally got hot shotted the SmackDown title like a week and a half, or like literally days before that WrestleMania main event with Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. By the way, don't forget that.
What's up,
Total
you got
Vince move. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you guys remember? I think it was 2007 when Great Khali and Undertaker were supposed to wrestle at SummerSlam, but the Great Khali was so bad they had to put it on SmackDown where they had to edit it because it was like fake TV. Because not fake TV, but it wasn't live. They could cut the whole match and make it passable for TV. I kind of feel like that might happen with Omos and Brock Lesnar, where they have to figure out a way to. They have to figure out a way to not have it at WrestleMania because he sucks so much.
No, they did Lesnar a favor, right? They're gonna put it the first show of night one, so Lesnar can just beat him in a minute, first match, and let him get on out of there and go home, and he'll be back in his farm in Canada
Heyman had said
by
that
the end of
before
night one.
When he faced Seth Rollins. If he's not going on last, he wants to be first and just get out of there. But did you hear what Corey Graves said about this match? Is that, this is the great chance to put Omos over. Lesnar could elevate Omos. This could. I know Corey Graves works for the company, but for crying out loud, this.
He's going to elevate him for an F5.
Yeah, for an F5.
Yeah, Corey Graves. Go ahead. You go. You guys go first. Go ahead.
But just real quick, it just confuses me because you guys said it, or Corey Graves said it, I guess. The only thing that makes sense about this match is you might use Lesnar as like a springboard for Omos, because again, Omos has not achieved anything like that. But again, that's not happening. Plain and simple. Like you're not going to go from Omos not on TV to making him a star. Like plain and simple. So it's just very confusing that this match is on the card.
Let's put it this way: I still wish what they do with Omos and try and push him. I get why they're trying to push him because he's huge. He's this big monster-looking dude. If Veer Mahaan was like 2 inches taller, he'd get the Omos push, except I think Veer Mahaan could actually go in the ring.
I mean, if all the guys to enhance Omos, you get Mr. suplex finisher, Brock Lesnar. He's not the guy to carry anybody in a match, much less a limited guy Goldberg. Like Omos. For like 3 minutes.
He'll be caribou hunting in Saskatchewan in no time.
This is all I'll say, and it kind of it's like a blind resume, right? Every other match going into WrestleMania has had weeks to months of build up and has had some kind of second or so.
Lashley Wyatt.
And then you what? Sorry, go ahead.
Lashley Wyatt. I mean, it's pretty much.
But like that was building up before Elimination Chamber, right? He was saying whoever goes in that match, like I'll be. At least it was weeks. This was literally just Omos is challenging Brock Lesnar. Like anybody said it. Like what's Matt Riddle think of somebody being able to just challenge Brock Lesnar and go out there for a match with him? He must be pissed.
Yeah. He's too high to think. But the one thing about Mania, my last point about Mania, I think someone said that, where did I read it? It was the first time where every match so far has at least one person who's held the top title in their division at least once.
Okay.
That's interesting.
I like that. Yeah.
From the tag team, every single match has someone who's held the top title, which to me, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool.
There's a lot of legitimacy, I think, in this WrestleMania card, which again makes the Omos Lesnar match stick out so hard. Transitioning, we're obviously on Revolution morning here, depending on where you are in the world, might be afternoon. But with that said, a lot of talk about AEW. We'll get into the predictions here momentarily. Just curious your guys' thoughts on a scale of 1 to 10. How do you see the strength of the programming and booking moving into this pay-per-view? Because let's face it, I'll call a spade a spade. I was one of those riding high through 2021, a little bit disappointed in 2022. So I'll kick it off. I'll say I'm about a 6.5 right now. Some of these storylines have been going on a little long, but I do feel like there's an opportunity to finish them on the right note and move forward with these programs. I'll go 6.5 out of 10. Slick, where are you at?
I'm right about where you are. You know, I'm a little biased. I love usually what AEW does, but I have to agree. I don't think their storytelling has been as strong as it has been in the past. And, you know, I'm looking forward to this card. I think that makes me rate it a bit higher, regardless of the work they've put into each build-up. I'm probably going to say a 7. You know, some of the stories have been done a little sloppily. I'm not too big a fan of the route they went to get to the women's trios titles match here. I mean, triple threat for the title. But, you know, all these matches are great on paper, and they should be able to finish with a bang. They usually always show up for pay-per-views, AEW, so I'm going to say a 7 with a little bit of expectation heading into tonight. But, yeah, not the strongest build-up, but, you know, I still have high hopes for how they finish.
I'm going to say a 7 as well, basically on the strength of their weekly show delivering on the action at least, even if the card doesn't always look like a pay-per-view worthy card. I mean, Tony Khan can only book so many pay-per-view worthy shows, as people used to say, on a weekly basis. I think, not that I'm using this as an excuse, you got to give a little latitude as far as long-term storytelling, long-term booking. When you look at everybody that's either been suspended or injured for the long term. Chris Statlander was really supposed to take that title off of Jade Cargill by now. Christian Cage was supposed to finish up his storyline with Jungle Boy by now, and now they've had to reignite that over the course of the last month and a half. You had the Elite and Punk. You had Andrade. He's been not off of television for an injury and maybe other reasons that maybe have to do with him being disgruntled. But there's so many storylines that should have happened and have been delayed from happening because people just getting hurt left and right. Last summer, it seemed like half of the main event guys were going down on a weekly basis. So once everybody is back on board and healthy again, I mean, Adam Cole's about to get his first match in, half a year or so? So once all the players are back on the chessboard, then maybe Tony Khan can start moving pieces around and, you know, working his way towards, you know, proper endings and proper long-term storytelling for all these guys.
Can I just say, and you might know where I'm going with this after you mentioned the J name, the fact that we have an AEW pay-per-view the caliber of Revolution tonight and Jade Cargill is not wrestling on this card.
Who's left?
Criminal.
Who's left? Who would you have face Jade?
I don't give a fuck. But anyway,
let's just throw Willow Nightingale out there for the third time.
Put Layla Gray in there with her for all I care.
Yeah. Go off.
Jesus.
Straw. I know you've had
with an Iron Man. With a 60-minute Iron Man match, it's tough to shift.
Yeah, I know, but Jade's a superstar.
Agreed. I agree on that 100%. I'd have her step on me, Slick. You know I'm on that. Straw, I know you've had some tough words for AEW in the past. Where do you lean going into this Revolution pay-per-view?
I never thought I'd get to a point where I'm enjoying WWE a bit more than AEW because I feel like I'm watching AEW out of habit now. I am putting this at a 3 for excitement level, build, hype. It's just, I'm going to watch it, but this is going to be the first AEW pay-per-view since their inception that I don't pay for. I will find ways. There's 3 matches on the card that I'm really into, but the build for so many of these things, the not having Jade thing, I don't know what the hell they're doing with Jade. I'm not saying she's a great in-ring person, but man, is she superstar level, persona, appearance, holy hell. You have to get your people who people talk about on the card.
Yeah.
Especially when you have 4 pay-per-views a year. Maybe 5 if they do another Forbidden Door. Who knows what they do. But you have to get that.
If they're not going to put on a good match, you still have to get her out there.
Even if it's on 0 hour.
Have her come out and just do a segment where she's bitching about how she doesn't have a match tonight.
They only have 1 match announced for 0 hour. So maybe it comes on during that. But the overall thing, like, I don't need the world tag team titles have been just dropped. Like they dropped the ball. Granted, the Golden Guns, wahoo! I like the Golden Guns. I like them in the ring, and I will call them the Golden Guns until they lose the belts. But there's so many things like MJF and Danielson. Do they have to do the same storyline with MJF every single feud he's in? Every single one. You have to go through the 5 trials of Hercules every single time. Like, you don't need to do that shit every time. The women's title, Ruby Soho's there to take the pin. The trios tag team title and the Jack Perry Christian match are the 2 matches with the best builds. And the trios title isn't even like that great of a build. It's just the House of Black doesn't want the Elite around because they think they ruined the company. So I don't know. I'm just in this weird, like, maybe they'll surprise me, but man, Tony Khan sucks. He needs help. He needs a team. It's at the point, especially
Okay,
with
so real quick, though. You wake up tomorrow, you're Tony Khan. People are like, okay, you did a good job, Revolution. What are you going to do? How are you going to change AEW? Well, who are you going to go out and get? Who are you going to hire?
You got to find writers. I don't care about the talent. The talent is there. The
talent is there.
I don't
need not a
new,
question.
I don't need new superstars or whatever. I need a writing team to book. At least get Tony Khan. The booking was so much better when Tony Khan didn't have Ring of Honor under his belt. Get somebody to handle that. Get Ring of Honor presence off of AEW television. And that, as I'm wearing the shirt of the Ring of Honor champion.
That could help now that they have the weekly show.
Yeah, but that's also way too long.
Agreed.
1 episode in and I was exhausted. But they got to get somebody, they got to get like a few people in there to book like Ring of Honor. Let like Christopher Daniels or somebody who's already there book Ring of Honor.
They need Ernie Green on the writing team.
No, thanks. I'm busy. Anyhow, I'm kind of in between all of you. I'm like a 5.56. Listen, AEW is what it's always been. They've just fantastic match after fantastic match.
Yeah.
Not so much storyline, but the only reason why that's been exposed is because we're in the middle of an all-time storyline in WWE. This is all time. That's the only reason why we're even talking about AEW not having much of a storyline, because it's going up against an all-time storyline.
Yeah, we're seeing what happens when WWE really tries. Yeah.
Tomorrow, Vince McMahon wakes up and says, "Hey, I'm in control." Everything in WWE gets tossed asunder. We have the same good feelings about AEW again that we had 6-7 months ago before Triple H took over. So a lot of AEW is anti-Vince McMahon as much as it is good matches and whatnot. And I think that if he came back, everyone, all the wrestlers who are in WWE who came back because of Triple H want to go back to AEW to get away from Vince McMahon. So we're like, I think they're in the middle of flux right now. Is this the best AEW they've had? No. Is it still very good? Yes. Are they one Vince McMahon tantrum away from being the federation and all the wrestlers want to be with because nobody wants to be around Vince McMahon? Also, yes. So it's just a really weird spot to be in. And they could very well just be kind of dragging it out because they know as well as much as we do that Vince is probably going to take over, a lot of bad feelings, and they might get another influx of talent coming in. So right now they're just holding steady at 5.5. I mean, is today going to be the greatest pay-per-view they've ever had? No, but they're still like Straw said, there's 2 or 3 things that everyone can look at and say, hey, this is going to be a banger. And to me, that's a lot more than a lot of pay-per-views that we've ever watched in our day. You know what I'm saying? So
my problem is with that, they should have 2 or 3 that's going to be a banger when your pay-per-views are 9.5 hours long. I just wish it was a Saturday too. That's also
that's a fair point, Mike. But I'm just saying, like, they're not as great as they used to be, but they're still pretty good.
The WWE on that, before we move on, the WWE point with the storyline, oh my, yeah, this is arguably the best storyline I've ever seen. Granted, I'm only in my early 30s. I've only been watching since I was 5, but this is the best storyline I think I could admittedly say I've ever seen in my 30 years of almost watching. Like,
well, Mike,
it elevates. It is the first storyline I can remember, and Ernie, maybe you can remember another one where there's this many people involved, where it arguably elevates every single person involved in it. There is not one person right now who is coming out looking weak. Even if they lose a match, they don't come out looking weak.
No. In terms of nuances, this is the best one. There's been better, more popular storylines like Hogan Andre, but that was not the nuances that this one has. It's like watching. I'm not sure who here has watched The Sopranos, but like you had to watch The Sopranos like twice for one episode just to catch all just to catch everything. And there's so many little things happening with this. That's how good it is. It's like
We
it's so
could do.
nuanced.
I think we could do a whole show just talking about
Yeah.
what makes the Bloodline storyline as perfect as it is.
Seriously, it is
Where's
a
it rank all
perfect
time?
time.
To me, it's number one.
Well, I threw this up there. I mean, we could talk again, like you said, a whole show on this. The thing that absolutely brain blendered me was when I saw Eric Bischoff say that this storyline is better than the NWO, the original. I mean, come on. Like when you talk about the pantheon of wrestling storylines, wrestling existence, the NWO has constantly been on that Mount Rushmore, that top 5, everyone's, pantheon of amazing entertainment and everything. So them to see that comment, I mean, it was crazy, Bartham.
Well,
Yeah,
the thing is, you couldn't do the NWO today because people would know that Hall and Nash were coming before they got there. So you can't surprise people, and they're going to know, oh, they're WCW guys now. They're just acting like they're WWE guys now. So to have a storyline that's compelling in the day and age of social media and insider reports going around, that's an accomplishment in itself.
Seriously, accomplishment after accomplishment. So
And
let's get into it.
Just to go back to
on.
Ernie's point, yes, AEW got by because they were the alternative to Vince McMahon WWE. Now that Triple H is supposedly still the main booker, they're no longer an alternative. Now they have to book better than competent because Triple H on his worst day can still be competent. Now they have to book a little bit better than that. And between AEW and now Ring of Honor, of course, Tony Khan is probably, and the injuries, as I mentioned before, he's probably being pulled a lot of different ways and doesn't have all his pieces on the board, and it's a little bit harder to book that way, I think.
Speaking of having all your pieces on the board, update on our Wrestling with Emotion standings. As you can see there, Mike Partham leading the way at just over 81%. Ernie Green right behind him, just short of 76. And then we got us all packed in. Slick holding 75% strong. Dwayne and I around 71. Micah as well. Rob, Ryan, and McAdoo. I have a feeling Straw will be climbing these rankings very quickly, though.
Set it off the air. I'll say it here. Like John Jones last night, I'll go from unranked, undeserving to champion in no time.
I love it. Well, hey, strap in, folks. Let's get ready. It is time for our AEW Revolution. Oh, not quite yet, folks. Sorry. Real quick, we got time. It is time for AEW Revolution main event trivia. This will be the 4th Revolution main event. Revolution event. Name the 3 prior main events of this pay-per-view.
Moxley Jericho was the first one.
Correct.
Last year. See, all I remember last year was Punk and MJF having the greatest thing ever.
What was you guys like?
Hangman Kenny.
Hangman Kenny was not last year. Nope.
It was Hangman and Adam Cole last year, wasn't it?
Hangman Adam Cole was last year.
Yeah,
So you got 1 and 3.
Moxley and Kenny Omega. Wasn't that in
Moxley
Revolution?
and Kenny
The exploding
Omega
death match.
in an exploding barbed wire death
exploding.
match at Daly's place.
The sparkler match.
I will never forget where I was when Eddie Kingston saved John Moxley from that potential
From the
terror.
Can I just say that Moxley and Eddie gave a great promo the next day on Dynamite, basically surmising, did he mean to have a bomb? Did he not mean to have a bomb? Is he just playing us like the Joker? So they kind of
That's one
laughed it
thing
off,
the wrestlers,
yeah.
they're very cognizant of in AEW.
Whoa. I didn't do that.
Good.
Well, hopefully we'll get Troy back. But great point by him. They are very cognizant when something goes wrong, when there's botches, et cetera, et cetera.
Just roll with it, yeah.
I think he's back in here. We're good. We're back. But hey, speaking of being back, let's get into it. Let's get into our predictions, and we'll start off with a match that people have been anticipating for months. John Silver and Alex Reynolds versus Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. Kind of thrown together here at the last moment. You got Dark Order, Blackpool Combat Club. I'll start it off. I got Claudio and Wheeler winning this one. Slick, who do you got?
Didn't even know this match was happening, so it's always a great start. I gotta go Blackpool Combat Club. John Silver and Alex Reynolds. I love them. Johnny Hungy's really fun to watch. I love how they highlight him in the ring on commentary when he's in there, especially in the 2 tag team battle royals that they had. But there's no reason why Blackpool Combat Club shouldn't win, especially with a Ring of Honor belt on each guy in this tag team. It'd just be ridiculous for them to lose, especially with the Ring of Honor show just debuting. So I'm going with Claudio and Wheeler.
I mean, regardless of who's the champion of what, we all love the Dark Order, but they're not going to go over on any Blackpool Combat Club members anytime soon. So it's Claudio and Wheeler. Let's go on.
At Claudio and Wheeler, this is the only reason they have this on the pay-per-view is this is the match that's going to solidify their heel turn.
Oh, Ernie, you muted.
Ernie?
My bad. Claudio and Wheeler.
Okay, cool. We got a clean sweep. We have a clean sweep of the BCC, including Jake Micah, who's taking them as well. So let's get into it. Again, another match. I hate to say it, not a ton of anticipation here, but it should be some craziness and definitely some entertainment. Mark Briscoe and the Luchas versus Arya Daivari and the Varsity Athletes. Ernie, why don't you kick us off on this one?
I don't see under any way, shape, or form why they would have Mark Briscoe die right now, given all this. Lose, given all the circumstances, the unfortunate passing of his brother. He's really, really over right now, too, and I think he's on top of this game as a wrestler also. So I don't see Mark Briscoe losing right now, and I predict that team to win.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. I've said it on Twitter. I've said it to my wife. We had these conversations. It pisses me off more than anything going in wrestling and TV, whatever, that it took one of the best wrestlers in the world, tag team of all time. It took Jay to die for Warner Brothers to go, we'll allow it, I guess. It's okay. We'll let the world.
I'm 100% with you,
I'm going to
Straw.
drop it. Fuck Warner Brothers for that. It bothers me so, it makes me so mad because Mark Briscoe, what people are finally getting to see on a national level, has what everybody who's watched the Briscoes have seen for over a decade plus. And I'm happy he's finally getting it. He deserves it. It just, man, it bothers me.
Amen to all that, Straw. And for the reasons Ernie said, yeah, Mark Briscoe's not going to lose anytime soon, especially with the Lucha Brothers, and not to Ari Daivari and the Varsity Athletes.
Yeah, wow, the Varsity Athletes. It's been a while. Yeah, Mark Briscoe, he's taking such advantage of this opportunity, too. I agree with you, Straw. That should have happened a long time ago, and Jay should have been with him along this ride. But, he's really stepping up to the plate with the opportunity. And the Lucha Brothers with him, what a team. I'm excited for this match. Should be great wrestling. And Mark Briscoe and Lucha Brothers should win easily.
Agreed. It'll be a clean sweep. I have no doubt Briscoe and the Luchas get it done, as well as Mike chiming in on that one. So we have clean sweeps on our first two matches. Again, I think we all agree these matches were kind of put together at the last moment, not a lot of build, but obviously for their
win patterns for us.
Yeah, expected clean sweeps for
Record
0 hour,
Something to keep Slick above 75%, that's for sure. But yeah, so with all due respect to the rest of the matches on the card, there is tons of build and there is big time history between basically all these competitors. Let's start it off. Long overdue from seeing this story reach its conclusion or climax, I guess you could call. Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I will start it off. I mean, if Jack Perry does not win this match, I cannot explain to you what happened in this program. It would be absolutely inexplicable. This would be like when when Brock won at WrestleMania over Roman. I forget which time, but it was just like a result that made absolutely no sense.
Brock winning always makes sense. You be quiet.
That's fair in most cases, especially. Well, now that he's got the cowboy hat on, nobody disagrees. But it's going to be the Jungle Man who gets this done. Jack Perry gets the dub. Slick, what do you got?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Christian Cage is at this point in his career. We say this about a lot of guys where they're at the point in their career where their job is to elevate younger talent, but not a lot do it as well as Christian Cage. Especially, it's shown through and through with this feud because Jungle Boy, like he wasn't over already, has just come into a different form within this feud with Christian Cage. In-ring ability-wise, promo-wise, it's just a sight to behold, and Christian Cage has just proven that he can be the biggest asshole on the planet and at the snap of a finger if he wants to be. So I think Jungle Boy really goes over here, puts this thing to an end, buries Christian Cage alive in the ground. And I didn't think about this till just now when we were coming on. We haven't seen Luchasaurus in quite some time.
Yeah.
Could he play into this match and possibly finally realize that Christian is an asshole and feel bad for his former tag team partner? I know they're not going to put them back together because they're going to really give Jungle Boy this singles push. But it'll be interesting to see, especially in a match with no rules. But yeah, there's no reason why Jungle Boy should be losing this match.
Yeah, Christian's been, when he's been on TV for this feud, before and now again, he's been on another level as far as promo work is concerned. You might call him MJF light or something to that effect. I mean, when MJF was absent over the summer, Christian Cage was really the one stepping up and making everybody just piss the hell off at him for all the outrageous things he was saying about Jack Perry's dad and all this other stuff. So, but because he's been out with an injury for this long and he's finally just getting back to wrap this up, you can't really let it go any longer. So Jack Perry's got to get his final revenge over Christian Cage. So it's got to be Jack Perry.
Did you just call him MJF light? Flip that. Flip that.
Oh, you got to flip that.
As the Northeast United States president of the Population Fan Club, there is no better heel in AEW than Christian right now. I don't care MJF, because MJF at this point is just the same thing all the time. It's kind of getting obnoxious. Every promo needing to be Triple H level long. But Christian, like, he does a really great job at making you love him, and he does an even better job at making you realize what a piece of shit he is. And he does it like Slick said, like in an instant. He switches. Jack's winning this match. The Luchasaurus thing is interesting because to me, he adds nothing to this. Also, the next time I see him back, I want him sans mask, and I want a complete overhaul of him because he's good in the ring, good enough to be a monster heel. But I also feel maybe they're going to start doing that with Big Bill eventually.
Don't forget, Big Bill could main event a WrestleMania, in my opinion.
Maybe. Better than Omos. But no, Jack Perry's winning this match. I expect it to be good. There's a lot of people speculating that this is going to be a way to write Christian off TV because his contract's coming up soon, because I think he only had like a 2-year contract. And because of the injury, it was extended a little. But I don't see that being the case. I could, because it's AEW and they always want to go for the unexpected type of thing, them pulling a Vince McMahon Undertaker buried alive match kind of swerve where somehow Christian wins. He shouldn't. I could see it, but Jack's win. My prediction is Jack's winning, but it wouldn't surprise me otherwise.
Wait. How about the first buried alive swerve where Undertaker beat Mankind, but at the end, Mankind and all his cronies with Paul Bearer and all those heels buried the Undertaker alive after the match was already won by Undertaker? Just a thought.
Maybe.
I just feel like these two have to be done with each other after this.
I hope so. They have to be.
So I love the idea of something weird happening at the end because, obviously they go, Ernie, what do you got?
Cut Jack Perry's hair.
That'd be funny. This has to end tonight. Jungle Boy's going to win. In my opinion, I don't think it's that much of a difference, that much of a debate, honestly. We all agree. I do want to say this, that when Christian was yelling at Jungle Boy's mom and sister outside the ring when he turned, that was one of the best things I've seen on TV. You raised a piece of shit.
It was so good. It was so good because it felt so real. Yeah, it felt like I felt like my parents being told that about me, and it being, but for me, it'd be true.
The work, what they've, Mankind Cactus Jack McFoley has always said, the greatest heels, they act like they did their actions because they think they're right. And Christian, in that case, as a heel, he thought he was in the right for giving a guy whose parents were pieces of shit a beating that he gave him the beating that his parents should have gave him, but his parents were pieces of shit. Such a great storyline and so real, like Mike just said. But yeah, Jungle Boy's winning tonight.
Shout out to his mom and sister too for the looks of disgust on their face.
Oh yeah, they don't do that without them going along with it because obviously touching about a dead dad is,
Sure. It was just hilarious. Yeah. And the camera would pan to them, and they were just giving him the RBF. Oh,
so who is better? Who is better, Christian and the Perrys or MJF and the Pillmans?
Christian and the Perrys, 100%.
Okay.
Christian and the Perrys, because the Pillmans were even they thought it was funny what was being ribbed at them.
Even they thought it was funny. Well, hey, we are 3 picks in here. We have 7 matches left in our AEW Revolution card. We have 3 picks in so far. We are all on the same page. Very interesting. Obviously, again, Micah is with Jungle Man Jack as well. So I want to kick this off. It is live. Jazz banned from ringside. Obviously a big storyline. Again, another storyline that maybe is going on a little bit too long here in AEW. It's definitely a fair complaint. But I want to kick it off with Micah's prediction for this round, and then we'll go to Ernie. Micah in the Jericho Starks match has Jericho via Paul White interference.
What the fuck?
The hell? That's
No
a name
more
we haven't
BS.
heard from a while.
No more BS.
serious?
What do you
Are you
got,
sure?
Ernie?
Are you
Well,
sure?
I just
Michael's
want to
little
go on.
brother?
Let me just go on the record officially in saying that I do not have Ricky Starks by Paul White interference.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Oh,
He's
Jericho,
got-
I
he's
mean,
got
Jericho.
by Paul.
Yeah,
White.
I do not have Jericho. That's. I just want to go on the record in case anybody was wondering. That was also my prediction, and it's not. I actually think that the Jericho Appreciation Society is going to start like disbanding and feuding after this, because again, this is something that has also gone on too long. I'm going to pick Ricky Starks by some sort of chicanery, and that's just going to kind of buoy the whole Jericho Appreciation Society moving on, feuding, whatever they're going to do.
I absolutely like Ernie's hat. No one.
I like it.
Thanks.
I hate all of you. That's the only comical good thing Jake Hager's ever done in his career. Micah might be onto something because he
Paul
just
White?
applied. He applied for the Jericho trademark, man.
Oh.
Wait, that happened?
Yes.
I don't give a shit.
Well, did he get
so,
it?
So we're gonna disband Jazz, and it's gonna be Jericho 2.0.
He applied for it like 3 weeks ago, and they usually, if he applies for something, he gets it. And oh no, they have to put over Ricky Starks. Jericho, I don't think is one to do it. Jericho, for as much shit as he gets, still knows how the business should be, and I think this is going to be what. Like Ricky has to get it. I like Ernie's idea of this is where the cracks start to show in the Jericho Appreciation Society. And the one thing that leads me to think about someone coming in on Jericho's behalf, like a Paul White or whatever, is the fact that originally the promo was everyone's banned from ringside. Then by Friday at Rampage, they subtly changed it to just the Jericho Appreciation Society is banned from ringside.
And that
Without
was
really
never like
mentioning it.
announced in storyline, right? It just became that.
It just became a thing and then talked about, even though announced, and the first graphic was everybody's banned. So that leads me to the he's on to something. I'm going Ricky Starks, but I kind of
I didn't know Micah was being a super sharp with those dirt sheets.
man, he might be onto something, and I kind of hate it.
Wait, I do recall that report now. Was Jericho the only trademark that Jericho applied for?
For that one, yeah, at that
Just
time,
one?
yeah. That's why it's bothering me.
That's okay. That's too much of a Vince McMahon type swerve, especially involving someone that hasn't been on TV for probably over a year, even on commentary. I haven't seen Paul White on commentary much.
Well, I know
less
he had
on
surgery
TV.
for a while.
Yeah.
So he was just.
Yeah, so there you go. Jericho's in the position where in his career where he's got to put Ricky Starks over. Unless they're gonna drag this out to a special Dynamite or in the next pay-per-view. I don't think so. They got Ricky Starks is a star in the making. You got to have someone like Jericho put him over.
Real quick on Ricky Starks before you go, Slick. My wife thinks he looks like Butthead if Butthead got really in shape and grew up.
Yeah, he looks like a real life butthead for sure. No doubt about it.
Like, and I can't unsee it now. And man, it's just perfect.
Well, so Paul White's not even called the Big Show. So how does the Jericho thing play?
Showtime Paul White.
Oh my God, give me a break, dude. If Paul White shows up and comes down to the ring tonight,
See, you just said show.
I'll bow down to Micah.
I'll never forget that first entrance theme with no more BS on the Titantron.
When you first said that take, I really thought that maybe like Alex Micah, that was his take and not Jake's. But here we are. I guess I thought Jake knew better, but Ricky Starks is going to win. There's going to be some chicanery, like Ernie said, whether it's a ref goes down and JAS does find their way to ringside and it goes and backfires on them. I don't know. I think people do play into this match, whether it's people from JAS or not. I certainly don't think it's Paul White. And if it is, all props to Jake Micah. Like, I really will have nothing left to say.
No, we know this is what's going to happen. Miro's going to come back.
Wait, hang on.
Maybe. And then, well, Aubrey's
Hang on.
ref this match, so she's gonna play into it. But I have Ricky Starks. Go ahead, Parthon.
I'm looking at the Fightful report for Chris Jericho files trademark
get
the
out of here.
Jericho.
I don't want to
Paul
hear it.
White recently stated that he's planning on returning to the ring very soon in AEW. Oh my god.
Okay, so this is how I'm gonna put it
Fightful?
together in a way that makes sense. Now I'm gonna put it together in a way that makes sense. Okay.
Right.
Jericho is gonna get Starks away from the ring. This is gonna get them out of the ringside stipulation or whatever. They're gonna go to the back. They're gonna fight through to the back or something like that. At that point, Starks is actually gonna drop basically everyone in the Jericho Appreciation Society. He's gonna take them all out. Yeah, make them look worthless in Jericho's eyes. At this point, he's going to run into the weapon of mass destruction that is Paul White's fist. Then Jericho will take him back to the ring, try to pin him. Won't be able to finish him, but we'll get the full transition from Anti-Jericho Appreciation Society, bring Paul White back in the mix, and you get Starks your win at the end of the day. A little chaotic, but I guess it takes care of everything.
I
And
mean,
that's
we could have a traditional Paul White. He comes in and he turns 3 times in the match.
That'd be sick.
I don't even know why we're
Jericho
talking about
Appreciation
this.
Society just beating down on him. Whoa! And then he just comes out and all of a sudden just crushes Ricky Starks. Yes.
Maniac, who do you have?
Oh, I have Starks, but that's
okay.
my prediction is that they're going to get away from ringside. That's going to involve the Jericho Appreciation Society, and then Paul White will come in. Now that I know about the Jericho Fightful, thanks to Murphy Boy. Let's go in here. Match for the AEW TNT Championship. So that was our first one where we didn't have everyone on the same page, but it was only Micah picking Jericho. We have AEW TNT Championship, Samoa Joe, the king of TV, versus Wardlow. I will kick us off. We got to go Wardlow. I like Samoa Joe, love him a lot. I think that AEW has shown that at the end of the day, Samoa Joe is a piece for them. Wardlow is a semi-pillar in a way. It's another piece of the foundation. So I think I like Wardlow in this match to become the AEW TNT champion. What do you got, Slick?
Yeah, I agree. Samoa Joe, love him. He looks so badass with 2 belts on. But I think they kind of realized they fumbled with Wardlow's popularity at a point, and they're going to try and get that momentum back. And getting the TNT scrap on him is helpful first way to start. I think Samoa Joe, he keeps that television title, and he really becomes part of what they can do to make the Ring of Honor weekly show better. I'm not saying he won't be on AEW TV, but I think he'll be a big part of that ROH stuff, as well as developmentally with all the other guys that are along there. And I do think they're going to go the Wardlow Hobbs direction, which they probably should, because that's a great matchup for 2 homegrown talents that they have. And they'd be silly to just go away from that. And maybe eventually TNT title goes on to Hobbs. I'd love to see that. So I'm going to take Wardlow in this, leading to an eventual Hobbs matchup. Maybe even a Hobbs beatdown after this match. But Wardlow tonight versus Samoa Joe.
Well, isn't that Hobbs Wardlow match scheduled for the next Dynamite, this coming Dynamite?
Well, it's the winner of this. But
Yeah, but I think I heard Hobbs is going to have his match with whoever the winner is on this coming Dynamite this next week.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway, it's going to be Wardlow as long as it's not a winner-take-all scenario like it was last time. Because Wardlow, you're not going to have him on Ring of Honor television. You're not going to have him defending 2 belts at the same time. You want to get those titles separated. Have Samoa Joe go to Ring of Honor. Have Wardlow be the TNT championship for the time being, at least. Whatever they're going to do with Hobbs, whether they put the title on him, which would be in pretty short order if they did it on Dynamite, or even a week or now, or for 2 weeks from now. I don't know if. I mean, this is. For the time being, I'm going to have Wardlow winning this match, but I don't know if having Wardlow basically being a transitional champion for Powerhouse Hobbs, however far in the future that match is going to be when Hobbs gets it, I don't know if that's the best thing for Wardlow, unless he's going to immediately go into a title picture match with MJF for Double or Nothing. But for the time being, yeah, Wardlow's going to win.
Wardlow's going to win, but I don't think he walks out with the championship. I think something happens. That
Wait,
either sets...
there's going to be a cash-in?
No.
With that big Sonic ring?
No, dude, even that Sonic ring, even Hobbs looks small next to that stupid thing. I think something happens where Wardlow wins the match, but whether it's DQ or Hobbs it gets involved or whatever, and it's either going to set up a triple threat or we get Joe versus Hobbs. Because the idea of a transitional thing, no, but you brought up like Wardlow's star power, right? AEW has a problem with when they get guys to magma explosion level popularity. They drop the ball after it hits its peak. They can't sustain it. They had it with Wardlow when he won the TNT title back in Rochester back in July. That place went unglued. He was just over like Rover. And since then, like, yay, they cut his hair. Sympathy. You can't be sympathetic for a guy like Wardlow. He's a beast. He does things. He's a handsome man. He's a beast of a man. No one can feel sympathy for him. Let him be a just ass-kicking machine. Stop trying to make every character sympathetic to try and get him back over. Like, this is where I say Tony Khan needs help because he's really bad at keeping momentum of a star. And unfortunately, like I said, I don't think Wardlow ends the night with the title because, they can't figure out what they got to do and they're going to force something with Hobbs. And you can't be doing this Book of Hobbs thing down the line or all this time only to have him lose in his first title match.
Very fair.
I think Wardlow's going to win. Everything that Mike said makes perfect sense, which is why I don't think any of it's going to happen. To be honest with you,
Who's on the leaderboard here?
I said no. I was actually talking about Straw. Like,
no!
I was talking about Straw. Like everything that he said about how they booked Wardlow and everything sympathetic. I think that's all true. However, I just think that they just woke up. The way they portrayed this match is like, oh, okay, now Wardlow's the champ again, and we're just going to bury Samoa Joe. Maybe not bury him, but have him one belt back in Ring of Honor. I think the reason why I think Wardlow's going to leave with the belt is because I think Samoa Joe is going to be exclusively with Ring of Honor moving forward, not just as a wrestling role, but kind of like in a support, maybe kind of like helping producing role. So for that reason, I'm going with Wardlow, and I do think he's going to walk out with the belt tonight.
Okay, we got everyone on Wardlow's side. I will say we got Micah predicting a non-finish, similar to Mike Straw. So very interesting there as well. The 5 matches remaining.
On one today, dude.
Micah is on one today. I give him credit.
What is in that Chicago water?
He's been hanging out with his brother a bit too much. I'm telling you.
Talk about a party. I mean, this was kind of thrown together at the last moment, but it's kind of a combo of what's been going on with this division for the last 8 to 10 weeks or so. You got the Guns versus the Acclaimed versus Jay Lethal versus Lethal and Jarrett versus Orange Housen. Okay, so just plain and simple, Lethal and Jarrett aren't going to win this. Orange Housen, not going to make Orange Cassidy a two-title champion. I really feel like this is the part where we see Daddy Ass do the unthinkable, and he's going to turn on the Acclaimed. I think this will work great in 2 forms. It'll like kind of solidify the Guns as pieces of shit, even though they kind of are solidified by pieces of shit already there. And it'll reignite any of the lost fuel or any of the lost, flavor that the Acclaimed had. I think that'll bring them right back up to their level, being the underdogs, being that. And again, they won't be out of the picture. So I got the Guns winning. Same with Micah. Ernie, why don't you kick us off and we'll go Straw, Partham, Slick. What do you got in the tag match?
I got the Guns. Basically, that's it. It's gonna be the reason why they have some. I think there's gonna be some fun spots, and it's gonna be, there'll be some comedy and some good like high spots. But at the end of the day, I don't see the Guns losing. If they were gonna put the belts on the Acclaimed again, they'd have them win a one-on-one match as opposed to this fatal 4-way type thing they have going on. So Guns win.
FTR. FTR.
What? They're gonna replace someone?
They're gonna win the titles tonight. Just
tonight?
Tonight, FTR.
You've got FTR.
I got FTR. They're not even in the fucking
That's literally
match.
your pick.
That's my pick. I'm just saying, FTR.
Okay.
And he thinks he's going to be climbing the list like Gunn.
Yeah, Straw's going to be ascending the standings, picking teams that aren't even in the match. But I don't hate it. I can see
because
Jay Lethal. This could be a Kofi Kingston Edge scenario.
Orange Housen is not going to compete in this match. There's no way. If they are, they're there to take the pin. But it just makes too much sense for FTR to show up somehow with all this shit they're talking about. Oh, you miss us on Twitter. And this just makes too much sense for them, especially with the shit that's been going on with the Guns, where they come in and they just beat the Guns' asses. Granted, I love the Golden Guns. Love them. The Acclaimed, another team that was here that Tony Khan screwed up with their booking. But yeah, FTR. There we go. If I'm gonna rise to the top of the leaderboard, I need to go off the wall. If FTR comes back and wins, I deserve to get 2 points instead of 1.
If FTR wins, I'll give you 2-0. We'll all give you 2-0 if
I agree
FTR
with
wins.
Sounds like Captain bending the rules.
I agree that FTR is going to beat the Guns for the titles, but not tonight. Not tonight out of nowhere with Vince McMahon hotshot booking. No.
It's
The
not
Guns are
hot
gonna
shot booking.
retain.
The story
It is hot. Yeah.
The story is there.
The story is there, but you have to bring back FTR in order to build the story. Because
FTR deserves everything.
Yes, but not just yet. They're still on the fence about what their future is going to be. At least.
You're the one who said you're looking forward to Lesnar Omos. What do you know?
I was joking, you son of a bitch. It was a rib, for crying out loud. What do you think? I'm on crack like Micah over there?
He's had enough of you. What do you got though? Who do you got winning, Bartham?
Of course I got the Guns winning. You can't take the titles off the Acclaim, then take them right back. You know, that's another form of hot potatoing and hot shotting and whatnot. So the Acclaim reports are that FTR is supposed to take the titles away from the Guns down the line whenever they feel comfortable coming back, whether it's tonight or the next pay-per-view or whenever. So basically, you want FTR to take them off of a heel tag team and not the other hot tag team, the Acclaimed. So as much as people want to see the Acclaimed back as tag team championships, they're going to keep the titles on the Guns, and the multi-team match, as Ernie pointed out, allows the Acclaim not to be pinned for this, and maybe they'll learn their lesson. And if Daddy Ass is still with them, he'll say, "What are you guys doing agreeing to a 4-team match? That was stupid. You need a one-on-one rematch." And they'll say, "Okay, we want a one-on-one match." That is assuming that, you know, the unthinkable happens and FTR either goes on to different things or goes to WWE, some crazy scenario, and then they'll just put the tag titles right back on the Acclaimed, and no problem there. They're still a popular tag team. But for the time being, the Guns are kind of transition champions for the time being, because they can be good heels, but they're not like popular heels in the sense that everybody's clamoring to see them. So the Guns are going to retain for the time being.
Well, the reports say it doesn't matter what the reports say. God damn it. Leave that shit out of it. But yeah, the Guns are retaining. I think FTR might show up tonight and confront them after. But yeah, the Guns are going to retain. I agree with what Ernie said too. If the Acclaimed were going to get these back, it'd be a one-on-one. And this is going to be a little bit of a comedy spot fest, unfortunately. You know, I would have kind of liked to see the Butcher and the Blade in this and get a little bit of a shining moment. But
yeah, they deserve a pay-per-view.
I guess we can't have nice things. So the Guns are going to win. I like the Guns. I don't get the unnecessary hate. I think they're good. I think they could make for some great heels holding these belts, and I think they will for a bit of time. And FTR eventually will probably get them down the line, which I don't think is a good idea, because then FTR might take their belts and go home to Triple H's Fed. But, you know, can't have nice things, like I said. But I got the Guns tonight.
Can we just talk real quick how much Colton looks like his dad? It's insane.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Just like a 200 pounds lighter version of Billy Gunn.
It is insane. Hey, speaking of insanity, we've had this one going on for a minute. It is time for the AEW Women's World Championship. Jamie Hayter, kind of making a name for herself in this division from eventually winning this title and kind of solidifying that position versus Saraya. You say Saraya, I say Saraya. Ruby Soho. Interesting match here. I am going to go with Hayter to retain. Slick, what do you got?
If Jamie Hayter doesn't retain, we riot, because that's ridiculous. She's the most over thing they have in women's wrestling right now, which is crazy when you're in the same company as Jade Cargill. But I think it's hard to match people up with Jade Cargill, harder than it is to with Hayter, because it seems like everyone that wrestles Hayter has the best match of their entire career. And we might have a similar story here tonight. It's a shame that maybe some of the spotlight gets taken away due to it being a triple threat. But I think Hayter steals the show yet again and finds a way to keep that belt on her waist. These other two are just place fillers to make Hayter's title reign look even better than it already has been.
Soraya could be a good champion if they were 100% sure about her health, but she's just, starting to make her way back into ring shape. Ruby could be a good champion if they built her up. She could be popular, but not if she beats Jamie Hayter. So it's not the time for either one of these ladies who it could be their time one day, but right now Jamie Hayter is the hot ticket for the women's division, so she's going to retain. Hayter wins.
Yeah, Hayter better win. I think she wins. She better win. My only thing is, do we get? I don't know if it happens with it being a triple threat because of the parties involved, but do we get some sort of shenanigans where Britt turns on her? But I want to see Britt with like a run as a babyface. But at the same time, we could really get like that feud of Hayter, Britt being jealous of Hayter because she's in the background. But
I'm surprised we haven't gotten that thus far. They've all been buddy.
I think we wait until after they go back to Pittsburgh in a couple months, and then we finally get it.
Maybe like Double or Nothing.
Yeah, maybe that's when we get it or something like that. But it's one of those things of like, yeah, Hayter's got to win. Saraya does nothing for me, and Ruby Soho has been booked terribly since she started there.
Muted early.
Muted.
Sorry about that, guys. I just want to say that Ruby Soho, I'm glad that she is in the spot because, again, they really fumbled the bag with her since she got there. So I'm glad she got in the spot. I won't even talk about the other one. She's not worth a second of my time. But the money in the AEW Women's Championship right now is eventually going to be Jamie Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker. So until that happens, I see Jamie Hayter retaining. Even if that wasn't the money, I still see Jamie Hayter retaining. She deserves to retain this, especially over these two, given that, again, the person I won't talk about, we don't know about their health issues or if they can even carry a championship. And Ruby Soho is just coming back on TV with a mini push. So it would make no sense for the championship to turn anywhere else tonight.
Yeah, and then the Hayter Britt thing, like that's one match where I go and I sit there and I'm just like booked properly. It's one of those where you throw up and you're like, I don't know who would win that.
And that would be
it's what I'm looking forward to
all the time for AEW.
Yeah.
But that seems to be like I just said, every match that Hayter does with this title on her waist. She makes everyone look good. Not that she's wrestling bad talent, but everyone has their best match of their career against Jamie Hayter. It's no coincidence. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say it. Mercedes?
No.
You out there?
No. Stay away as much.
She's out there. She's having the time of her life in Japan.
Yeah. No, she's never
right here.
Yeah, you're there. Unfortunately.
Oh God.
Oh, tough crowd.
Maniac, you're a little frozen there. Okay,
No.
I'm definitely frozen. Am I still frozen?
Nope.
You're good.
No, you're good.
You're good.
Okay. Well, unfortunately for all of you, I'm not frozen, and it's time for the Texas Death Match. Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page. Again, a common theme on this card. The reason we were saying it's between 3s and 6s for our AEW momentum. A lot of these feuds have been going on for a very long time. Moxley versus Page. Texas Death Match. I got Page winning ultimately. I think Moxley is, kind of AEW's Seth Rollins. He can win your title. He can be your title holder, but he can also lose big matches and not lose his momentum. So I'm going to go with Jon Moxley in this one. Am I still freezing?
Nope. You're good.
All right, Slick, you're up.
Yeah, I'm going with Hangman as well. When Moxley takes a pin, it's a big deal. I think he's only been pinned 4 times in AEW. So if you're gonna put another tack in that number, Hangman is the guy to do it. And this is gonna be a hell of a match. I don't have much else to say. We've always said that Moxley's gonna take an L and then it'll finally be his vacation time, but it seems like he's never taken that fucking vacation. So I don't want to necessarily write him off TV with this, but I do think it's probably the end of this feud. I think they might even shake hands after this. I think there's some mutual respect there out of the violence and combat, but I think Hangman wins. And I'll tie maybe his future into another match that we have coming up here. But I have Hangman winning in this one.
Yeah, I think Moxley going on vacation got put on hold once his wife joined the company. It's like, well, what's the point? She's here anyway. We can bring, our little girl along with us. And she seems to be having a fun because Renee's been, taking pictures of her, backstage, having all the fun and stuff. So I don't think Moxley needs to go away, but I think Hangman needs to win this match because it's all about him getting a definitive, convincing win over Moxley. And he can go on to bigger and better things after this once it's finally over, once he's finally gotten over Moxley.
I'm going to say Hangman, but I'm saying that with very low confidence. He's another guy. I feel like this is just a trend with me. Another guy here and then flatlined and dropped momentum-wise. Moxley doesn't need it. Moxley, I think at this point we're just trying to the better prediction with this match to me is like, how long does it take Moxley to bleed? I think 30 seconds. But Hangman needs this win.
Yeah, they need to salvage him. When I went to their first show, I went to their first show All Out, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Hangman Page is going to be the guy who's going to carry this company within 1-2 years. And I'm not even sure he flatlined. He took a nosedive.
That title run was like that building. As soon as they didn't know what to do, in my opinion, after that climax of him beating Kenny. They didn't know what to do. Yeah,
and I also think I will say this in fairness to Tony Khan. I think he had like a long-term vision for the title, and then CM Punk agreed to sign with the company, and that kind of tossed a lot of things asunder. And he didn't have the ability, or does not have the ability, to kind of adjust on the fly and make things look good. And I think Hangman Page, unfortunately, kind of took the bullet for that. So I think he needs to win tonight. John Moxley John Moxley does not need to win tonight. He can lose tonight and win the title tomorrow, and everyone would believe it. So. Hangman Page absolutely 100% needs his victory. I am predicting him to win.
One thing I'll say about Hangman's title run, you can't say he didn't
Alrighty,
have
another
matches.
Clean sweep with Hangman. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Partham.
One thing I'll say about Hangman's title run, you can't say he didn't have banger matches.
Yeah, matches, like we talk about AEW matches, fantastic. Sometimes they get a little too over the top for me, but banger after banger after banger, like Sheamus is jealous. But it's the story, man. It's just not even the story. It's the character development. It just falls off.
Yeah, it's non-existent for the most part.
Yep.
Maniac, who you got?
We lost Maniac again.
Yeah, Zach seemed a little delayed there.
Oh, he's back?
Wait, for Hangman, I got Hangman in the Texas Death Match. This shit is unbelievable.
Gotta love internet.
Well, I mean, Hangman versus Danielson. I mean, Danielson came out and he was just a piece of crap from the start. It was a great heel turn from just a promo alone. You thought he was going to be a respectful guy and, made the best man win, but he just, turned it on a dime. And I think Moxley was supposed to be the heel going into that feud, but Moxley, of course, had to go away for rehab. And so Danielson fit in perfectly. And they had a couple of banger matches for that. I think the only one that kind of fell flat from any kind of storyline wise was, what was that? It was a Texas Death Match on a Dynamite. Who was that? The big guy?
Lance Archer.
Lance Archer, yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody cared to see Lance Archer get a title shot, but hey, that was a great match in and of itself. A great finish where the top rope broke and he couldn't use his buckshot lariat, so he had to vault over a referee.
Overrated.
What's that?
I don't know. I thought that finish was overrated. Like it just seemed a bit too...
It came out of nowhere. You didn't see it. I didn't see it coming.
No, I didn't either, but it's like, okay, the ref bends over and he's using the ref as a buckshot.
Well, he's bending over to pick up something, and Hangman sees his opportunity. So
the refs are way more active in AEW than WWE.
Well,
like they even holding the ladders. What about
not just one, not two, three of them.
I love that, but like using the ref as your buckshot, come on.
I mean, they were saying, look, what do you want him to do? Go up on a rickety ladder and break his neck? No, but
get a different ladder.
Have him get a different ladder. Everybody's out on the outside, taken out. To have him get a different ladder. Ladders get
how
cut in half on matches all the time.
I see how he was on the top of the ladder too, and once he was up there, he didn't know how to get down.
Him not knowing how to get down was hysterical. Well, especially once he made it down, obviously.
Without problem, thankfully, that was awesome.
I hope my internet doesn't go down again. I can't have any more frozen people. But, hey, we have 2 matches left on this AEW Revolution card. Thank you for sticking with us on wrestling with emotion here on Trainwreck Sports. It's for the AEW Trios titles. It's the Elite versus the Hob, the House of Black. Let's kick it off with Micah's prediction. Micah has House of Black winning this one and taking the Trios titles. Very interesting. I'm going to agree with them. I'm going to say the House of Black gets it done against the Elite. The storyline has always been stuck in neutral to me. I don't know what the titles serve for the Elite. They don't even need them. I don't know where House of Black will go with them, but I like House of Black in this match. Ernie, who do you got?
I have the Elite because I actually am believing that, not tonight, but in general, that they will eventually feud with FTR and CM Punk for those. I think that's going to be the thing. They're not fighting the House of Black. There's no reason for FTR and Punk to fight the House of Black for those titles. So yeah, I'm going with the Elite tonight to win.
Man, I love that. I would love that. Dude, if CM Punk comes back, which I think he should, there's so much money to be made. So much. You want to sell a pay-per-view, you main event a pay-per-view with Omega versus Punk. Man, I would donate. I don't know what I would do if that actually happens. I'm going to go House of Black because I'm not going to buy into that, even though I want it to happen, Ernie. I'm going to go with House of Black because the Elite doesn't need the titles.
I've been on the fence about this match all day. It took me a little bit to figure the Guns over the Acclaim because maybe the Acclaim get their titles back. But other than that, this is the only other match that I've been going back and forth on because the House of Black, I mean, they're one of those teams that, I mean, they just all got back together. Who was it? Brody King or Buddy Matthews that went over to Australia for a little bit?
Buddy did, yeah.
Buddy.
Okay, yeah. And so they're just back together as a trio. And this is their first match back as a trio, I believe.
Yeah, it might be.
So, I mean, you're going to have them losing their first match as a trio and their first chance at the trios championships. I have a hard time seeing that happen, especially with a very short build and a build where we didn't even hear the Elite get on the microphone and fire back at these guys, speaking all in these ominous tones in the dark backgrounds and whatnot, and coming out in the darkness and beating them up and taking their titles, like literally, taking them and then just leaving them for them to find or whatever. I mean, the Elite have only been champions since January, after that 7-game series or whatever, with a lot of great matches, but it took a while for the belts to get back on them. We thought they were just going to be handing them back at Full Gear. And of course, there's reports going around about Kenny's contract and the Bucks contract is up this year, and what are they going to do about that? And as much as it would make all the sense in the world for them, whether they have the titles or not, to make all this money by feuding with Punk and FTR, are their egos going to allow that? Are they even going to want to be in the same room with each other, much less in the same ring? Are they going to be professional enough and willing to put aside their differences and You've heard Kenny say that they've moved on from everything that happened there, but they had, of course, get 3 or 4 references in with their trios match in Chicago before they moved on, of course.
I would have done the same thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I was Punk, you'd have to respect, the pettiness and the, whatever. But
who you got, bud?
The Partham 3000 hasn't calculated this one yet.
Just think about the report.
That's part of it, small part of it, but there's not anything solid to go on. Fuck it, House of Black.
Woo! All right, I'm gonna start by saying I think the CM Punk FTR Elite thing could happen, but I don't think it needs the titles. And after the absolute mess that was the Trios Championship beginning and the reign that the Elite had only to be stripped and then get it back in a 7-game series, the Trios titles could use a dominant reign, and I think the House of Black is the team to do that. And, the fans have been calling for it. The House of Black, I think, is the best faction that they have going in AEW, and they could really make them look like the dominant force that they deserve to be. And I think that starts here tonight with them getting the trios belts. And they could go a lot of different ways. Awesome matchups with the House of Black and an awesome storyline. Have them cutting really cool promos in ring and out of ring weekly on Dynamite. And I think the Elite are going to go down the avenue of having a storyline that involves Hangman after this. So I don't think they need the titles. They never needed these titles, but especially if they're going to go that route, I think there's going to be a little bit of Hangman reunion. You know, it's been teased. The locker and stuff. It's been teased a bunch of times for a very long time, but when it culminates, it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's tonight, but I think going forward, the Elite have a story that needs to be rekindled with Hangman, and the House of Black have a dominant run with these trios titles up their sleeve, and I think they take the belts tonight.
Just to add a couple of things, yes, I agree that the House of Black makes very strong champions. They're almost like the final. They would almost be the final boss of the trios division. Not unlike Roman Reigns gives that aura of being the final boss of WWE with his world titles. And yeah, that Hangman story has been hanging out there, no pun intended, for a few months now. I think we're long overdue for a Hangman Kenny Omega reunion, because Hangman and the Bucks have already put all their past behind them, and they're kind of on friendly terms now. But it's really Hangman and Omega that have to, hug it out or shake hands or whatever.
Yeah.
Very well said. It's like, who do you got? Sorry.
House of Black.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, folks, it is main event time. This should be a doozy. The build-up has been similar to others again, but this should be banger after banger after banger going for 60 minutes. 60-minute Iron Man match, the AEW World Championship. MJF versus Bryan Danielson. I mean, they're going to break everything out of the book they got in this one. I see probably almost like 3 separate matches, like maybe even 4 to 5 different segments going to the back, things like that. I could totally see. I think MJF will break out every heel tact in the book. I think similar to what our guy Carson said here, referencing a Lesnar Angle match from a while back. With that said, I think it'll be a buzzer beater, sketchy MJF win over Bryan Danielson, or maybe even they tie, and it goes to would that go to OT or would that go to MJF?
Usually it goes to OT, but
the only 60-minute match I've ever seen go to overtime was Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart.
Yeah,
that was the only 60. Any other one was a time limit draw, and I still think Bret got screwed, but that's a whole other story. But go ahead.
Okay, hey, well, who would love to take a page out of some classic wrestling storytelling? Bryan Danielson. I would love to, make everyone go crazy with.
Doing a Bret Hart tribute is more Punk's thing.
Yeah,
true. Okay, well, with that said, I got MJF winning and retaining in this Iron Man match through hook or crook or whatever they say. Slick, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna go the route that Micah actually floated this idea to me, so I'm gonna say it on the show since he's not here. I'll give him credit for it. I like this idea he had where I think MJF might give up a pinfall by DQ and then just go on to beat the absolute shit out of Bryan Danielson after hitting him over the head with a chair.
That's what they should do.
Forfeiting a pinfall and then just beating him up. Bryan Danielson finds a way to rally back eventually, but it's too late. It's too late on the clock. He maybe gets a pinfall or submission, but not enough time. And then MJF ultimately does something with the ring or what have you at the end and gets a last 10-minute pinfall to win this match. I know Jake probably has Danielson winning this. That's where he differs from me. I got to go MJF. I think Danielson's deserving. I just think MJF's title reign needs to be more set in stone than just what it has been. And then to lose to Danielson, it would just seem insignificant. And he's arguably the biggest star in the company right now. Why take the belt off him? I got MJF. And I think he proves... there's this thing Danielson saying oh, I'm going to test Max. He can't go 60 minutes. He's not the wrestler I am. I think Max is going to surprise a lot of people tonight with his in-ring ability and how he really can go for a good length of time. And this is going to be a hell of a match, but I got MJF retaining.
Well,
by the way,
sure
I haven't seen that ever happen in an Iron Man match except for McIntyre interfering in that Ziggler-Rollins one a couple years back, where you basically just take a DQ with the anticipation that you're going to win 2 falls back with the damage you do. That would be kind of cool. Partham, what do you got?
Yeah, wasn't there a AEW 2 out of 3 falls match where a heel like did something to that effect to lose the first fall and then easily picked up the second fall? I remember something. It might have been MJF or somebody else.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just can't remember who.
Yeah, I had the same thought you had, Slick, and for MJF to just come out with a chair and just clock Bryan and just bash him like Austin Rock at WrestleMania 17 and weaken him to the point where once the second fall starts, however long the referee's going to take to get everybody set and how they're going to think that Bryan's ready. Bryan's going to be the tough guy trying to get back to his feet, holding on the rope, saying, yeah, I'm ready. And MJF's going to, whatever his finishing maneuver is, I forget, get the second fall and then try and go from there. Another thing I'm expecting to see is Bryan like being down one fall with seconds to go, and he hits like his finishing maneuver, the Busaiku knee, or gets the lapel lock in, and either the pinfall or the submission misses the buzzer by a few seconds.
That's a good one too. I could totally see MJF tapping out like after the clock expires.
Yeah, but one way or another, it's not time yet for MJF. He's going to take that title all the way to the end of 2023. Wherever his contract situation is,
he's taking it into the bidding war.
Yep.
Whatever his contract situation is, he's going to take that title all the way to the end of the year, unless his momentum really gets bad to the point where, and someone else gets so hot to the point where you got to put the title on them. But I don't see it at this point. So whatever chicanery goes on in this match, however back and forth it goes, MJF is going to come back out on top. And I don't doubt that he's going to be able to go to 60 minutes because he's not going to be tired from having a match every week because he doesn't wrestle at all. He's got all this energy. Of course he can go 60 minutes, I guess. He's not wasting his energy at home with his fiance anymore, so I bet he has a bunch of energy now.
Bartham is just firing shots on this episode.
MJF is winning this match. It's going to be great. I guarantee I won't make it through the match, though, because this will probably end at 1:30 a.m.
Yeah, I mean...
Wait. Will the match go on first or last?
Last.
I personally would have it go on at the beginning of the show to keep the energy because there's no way that late into the card the energy is going to be there. That said, it is a West Coast pay-per-view, so it's a lot easier to get hyped up when it's only, 8 o'clock going into 9 as opposed to, 11 o'clock on the East going into 12.
Oh yeah, God bless West Coast time, guys. You guys need to come out here, move out here when stuff starts at 6 instead of 8 or 9. It's the best.
That's the only time I regret not living on the West Coast is when it comes to live sports.
Ernie,
you have
main event starts.
Yeah, you guys have no idea. By the way, it's the best thing ever. But anyhow, MJF's going to win this. There's no doubt in my mind. He's going to win. He's going to win by being the typical piece of shit champion / heel that he is. And it's going to be great. That's all I'm going to say. And Bryan Danielson's going to have the performance of his life tonight, I think. But it's not going to be in a winning effort. But this is just going to be a great match, in my opinion. I think I have heightened expectations for it, and I would not be surprised if it exceeded expectations. That's how good Bryan Danielson is, and I think like how John Cena went to finishing school wrestling Shawn Michaels in the late 2000s. I think MJF's going to go to finishing school facing Bryan Danielson right now.
Yeah, one last thing on this match to me. If people don't have Bryan Danielson in their Mount Rushmore of professional wrestlers, they're by the end of tonight, people who don't have him and watch this match will.
I can see that.
Yeah, and not only does Jake Micah have him in his Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, he's got him as the AEW champion at the end of the night. He's got Bryan Danielson taking down MJF, so very interesting there.
Though it would be peak MJF. You lose this match, and then you just find ways to complain and blah, blah, blah. Like, it would, character-wise, it would make sense for MJF to actually lose a belt. But
could you see a scenario where MJF loses this match and then finds another way to slide his way to another title match, like having a bunch of guys beat up everybody in a casino battle royale and him being the last guy standing, and then get the title back at another pay-per-view?
No, I feel like it might. So one thing that I think would be really cool to see, MJF finds a way to lose. Like, Danielson wins the belt, MJF doesn't get his title match, and we finally see him go on TV, go after Tony Khan. One, it would be just all this shit talking, and we finally see him snap and go after Tony.
Well, like Tony gets on screen, you mean?
Not intentionally. He goes behind Gorilla, and you just see the camera catching him, like being. I don't know. It could.
I mean,
work.
he's already
It's
gone
there.
after. He's already gone after Tony Khan verbally this past summer, and Tony said over and over that he's not going to be an on-screen character. Whether he's going to
Well,
be
I don't want him
backstage,
on-screen character.
well, backstage or on camera, on camera. Whether
Yeah,
it's
but-
he's hanging up backstage and the camera comes back to him, he doesn't really want to be on camera unless it's to make an important announcement.
Never forget when Tony came on screen in Buffalo to strip the titles and he got booed out of the arena.
Well, it wasn't a good scenario. I mean,
I thought it was a
just bad
great
all around.
scenario. I thought it was
I thought it was hilarious. So, like,
Wait, who stripped the titles?
back
And
at Dynamite in Buffalo after All Out. After
remember when
Brawl
Tony
Out.
came on screen to say he's stripping the world title in the trios?
I mean, it's never a happy day when you have to strip a world champion and the newly minted trios champions of their
Hey,
titles. So regardless of what the scenario was, no one was going to like it.
I like Tony, but I just thought it was funny how he got booed.
He was going to
Yeah,
get
no,
booed
that
no matter
was
what in
weak
that
as shit.
situation.
That was
Yeah,
weak as shit
yeah.
when he did a pre.
No one's going to cheer. Hey, I got rid of CM Punk.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Anybody could.
or the Elite,
Anybody
yeah.
could have said. Anybody could have said that.
yeah, like Maniac said, it's pre-recorded too. Is ridiculous.
Yeah, the pre-record got me a little bit, but hey, we're not pre-recorded. We're live here on the show where it's not wrestling with your budget. It's not wrestling with your conscience. It's wrestling with emotion. AEW Revolution is tonight. Only a couple weeks away, WrestleMania. So we are officially in peak wrestling season, and the weather's getting warmer. Everything's getting better. And obviously, it's just good times to be had ahead. Shout out to our panel for joining. Ernie Green, Mike Straw making his re-debut, Michael Partham, Slick L, myself. Make sure you're following on all the platforms and make sure you're having a great time because with AEW Revolution, we'll be looking for a good night now.
Scissor me, Partham.